tonight of why poetry is the diary of human experience. Poetry to me is all about the senses and our experiences with them. The reason I believe this is because when you're writing poetry, you're using metaphor and imagery to talk about the way you perceive your life through your senses. In life, all you have are your five senses, and through poetry, we are talking about exactly what we are experiencing with those senses positively. So now I'd just like to read a short segment from a poem that I heard recently. Why did you lie to me? I always thought I told the truth. Why did you lie to me? Because the truth lies like nothing else, and I love the truth. Why are you going? Because nothing means much to me anymore. Why are you going? I don't know, and I have never known. And I like to refer to this because it talks deeply about what we say on the surface versus what we are actually thinking. And this was ultimately to me a story about positivity, because initially on the surface we say a lot of negative things and that negative thoughts run wild, but to me being positive is something that is ultimately much harder. I am encouraging myself at the minute to now write some poetry surrounding some of my problems in my life, because it's very easy to look at them negatively initially. For example, many of you may know that I have tinnitus, which is a loud ringing in my ear. And when looking at this topic, you might think, oh, it's very easy to spot only the negative things that are happening to you with this. And through poetry, I aim to document my positive experiences. Because I recently watched a video where it was looking at the subject of you have all of the negative experiences that come to it, but you'll have these pockets of good experience that you might forget because you're so drowned out by the negative ones. And I thought, how can I talk about these positive experiences without just journaling them? Taking a photo won't do it. Writing a story might get it across, but it won't say exactly how I'm feeling with senses. And so I looked to poetry. I saw this poem and I started watching some TED Talks about poetry, and it opened my eyes to the fact that it is just about stimulating your senses. It is just about transferring the senses you've experienced from a moment in time, whether it be positive or negative, and trying to make the other person feel that emotion. Films, photography, story writing, they're all very different. You're trying to immerse them in the story, and I think this is one of the unique selling points of poetry to me. Now, I would like to challenge you tonight as well with the poem that I've brought along. I'd like to give you a copy of the entire poem, but I'd also like to challenge you to fill in some of the lines as well. Because as you would have noticed with this poem in specific terms, it talks about exactly what you would say on the surface about a problem that you have in your life, and then there's a second asking of that question to try and figure out what you're actually thinking. And I'd like to hand out a few of those at the end of my speech, because I think it's important that you yourself look at exactly what questions in life you are ignoring maybe, and what ones that on the surface you're initially not looking too positively on, and how you respond to real people about these subjects. And then reply a second time for how you're actually feeling. You don't have to show anyone, you don't have to talk to anyone about this. But I think poetry also helps document this human experience, because it was introduced to me, this poem, at my theatre writing group. And they were talking about this poem because we were analysing our own characters. I had some characters that were fairly two-dimensional, fairly flat, not sure what to do with them. And they told me, write your characters with this exercise. Just take this, spend 5 minutes, and learn what your character would say answering questions such as, why did you lie to me? And then reply a second time. And some people in the group even went for like a third and a fourth, depending on who they were talking to, just to see how they would respond to different people. And I started to find that these characters were kind of becoming more three-dimensional than some of the people I know in real life. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm starting to know this person a little bit too well. So, to go back to the subject of positivity, I just wanted to round this off with saying that, did you know you are the culmination of the 5 people you know most? The 5 people that are closest to you are exactly how you are experiencing your life right now, and the same goes for them, and the same for their friends of friends. And the reason I wanted to talk about this in a sense of positivity is because with these negative comments, such as me with my ringing in my ears, I could easily just look at the negative situations, and it's very easy to focus on them. If one person says a negative comment to you, you could have 15 or 20 amazing comments, and it will still drown it out. The reason I want to bring this up is because I want people like you guys to be writing poetry positively about your experiences and transferring them onto the 5 closest people around you, because it will have a cascading effect. Positivity is something that is very difficult on the surface for all of us, even if it's small, subtle jibes, things that are going wrong for you. And that is all I had to say on the subject. So I know this has been a bit of a ramble, but it's been a great speech to talk about. And I'd like to, as I'm finishing, hand out the poem, which is called Answers, and it is part of Eulogy for My Father by Martin Strand. So I'll hand these round, and thank you for your time. Thank you.